Let's get more on the first meeting between Donald Trump and Angela Merkel. Our political correspondent, Simon Young, has been following this story for us. Simon, what did you take away from this first meeting?
Well, Simi, I think the big focus was the trade issue. Both leaders talking about fair trade, free trade, but fair trade. That's something that Donald Trump has placed a lot of emphasis on. He says he's not an isolationist. I think that was an important point. He believes in fair trade, but only as long as it's good for US jobs. There's some agreement on the NATO issue, doing more to boost NATO. A lot of talk, as was said in the report, about cooperation, working together where they can. But I think if you compare this with Merkel's previous encounters with US presidents, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, this was a pretty awkward meeting.
Yeah, awkward does seem to be the word everyone's using to describe this meeting, and there were several awkward moments. Let's take a look at one of them now.
As far as wiretapping, I guess, by this past administration, at least we have something in common, perhaps.
OK, Trump, they're making an allegation there that the Obama administration had eavesdropped on his phone and then talking about Chancellor Merkel sharing that in common with him. Was he being serious?
Well, he was referring there to the fact that Chancellor Merkel's phone was monitored by US intelligence. I think perhaps President Trump saw an opportunity to needle the Chancellor a little bit over that fact and to get a laugh out of the assembled press. You could say that's pretty undiplomatic, not the sort of thing that would normally happen in a White House press conference. So I know that the president has said a lot of things about the wiretapping claim, including that he's got more evidence that he's going to bring before Congress. So we'll have to wait and see how serious he really is.
What about this handshake controversy? Did he really refuse her offer of a handshake at that moment?
Yeah, of course, it's hard to tell from this distance exactly what happened there. But it certainly looked as if the Chancellor offered him a handshake for the photographers. He just blanked her. Perhaps he was distracted. He wanted to make sure that those awkward journalists were quickly ushered from the room. But I think we can say, the president was not focused on shaking the Chancellor's hand.
You said that they did speak about some issues. Did they find any common ground between the two leaders?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, I think NATO and the support for that the Chancellor reiterated Germany's commitment and the fact that essentially Germany will step up its financial contribution for NATO. That was, if you like, the key policy area. Other than that, it was atmospherics. It was an attempt to say we will work together. We think this relationship is important. We know there are differences between us, and there are many, but it was sort of trying to create a common basis for the relationship going forward.
All right, our political correspondent, Simon Young, thank you very much for covering the story for us.